SZABOLCS is a little bit more willing to play slow in certain cases as well, a bit akin to QUARPI in this case. However, I do think that two players trying to play efficient is going to favor QUARPI in the long run, just from previous matches and other experience that I've seen. One that I really like pointing to is a set between QUARPI and Dormy, where I legitimately was like Dormy's first speed advantage in this title. But I think QUARPI just really does, you know, the slow, methodical play truly magical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And first round's a bit underway. QUARPI with a small eye misdrop. A small misdrop just fixes it with the eye, though. And, I mean, already off to a great start with this huge back-to-back.
Yeah, QUARPI is in no rush to break back-to-back unless an opportunity presents itself. I mean, it's got no real rush to make anything happen at the moment. Just continuing to stack on top of this. That back-to-back is getting dangerously close to 30. SZABOLCS able to get a little bit, force that back-to-back break, looking for a dig down beneath it.
Yeah, no, didn't quite have the right pieces for that. If that eye piece came one sooner, probably would have been survivable, but unfortunately, QUARPI's going to take this first point as we kick off this next phase of TWC Group C.
And I'm not sure if that may have been a misdrop from SZABOLCS. I think he was looking for something else to kick things off. But QUARPI as well, also having a bit of that personally made cheese. But I think because both players are very comfortable playing slow, the ability to like find a KO or just rush out a lot of damage is ironically going to be the difficult part between these two. And just like when to switch that burst speed is going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah. Look at... Ooh, and SZABOLCS getting a pretty noticeable spike on QUARPI's board. QUARPI dealing with it in a very nice way. Stacking cleanly, maintaining that speed and efficiency, working really nicely. Here's that's a huge spike incoming. QUARPI not quite equipped to deal with it. Really good down stack, but I mean the second spike of garbage just might have been a little too much.
And it's funny that follow-up was so crucial in earning that top out, but between SZABOLCS and QUARPI, a lot of the follow-ups are not going to be just an incredible amounts of, you know, T-spin, doubles, quads to get all that damage out. It's just going to be getting an impressive amount of all-spin singles for the most part and just continuing to build up like that second surge. And then once that's ready, just using the smaller surges bonuses to get that little extra bit of damage that's going to be necessary. However, at the moment, it looks like we're seeing both players well under 3 pieces per second. Quite an anomaly here for Tetra World Championships.
Yeah, normally you see those like 4, even 5 pieces per second like speed bursts from a lot of these players. These two going against each other sub 3.
And QUARPI gets caught off guard, has I'm not sure if it was a mishold, but I think held at a certain time, expecting the lines to come at a certain interval, and unfortunately just did not have a way to skim down and activate Surge. So all that garbage and all that Surge was unfortunately a free win there for SZABOLCS. However, this was really nice garbage working with there on QUARPI's side. Ice spins as well to keep things incredibly efficient. However, SZABOLCS answers with the counter spike. Doesn't even need Surge to make it happen. Just nothing but clean garbage on the run back.
Here's SZABOLCS with the PCO. Doesn't quite get it, just opts for a T-spin double instead. Good fallback.
All right, QUARPI, very nice prophecy on the STSD. And at the moment now, a lot of this damage coming from QUARPI has been extremely clean, though. As I say that, they're starting to see a little bit more of the all spins, both on 11 Surge, hoping to play a little bit more efficient and tank a lot of garbage, but QUARPI going to be the one who's pops the impatience first.
Yeah, both players actually popping it around the same time. They're kind of playing on it feels like a very equal footing with how they're approaching this game right now.
Again, QUARPI and SZABOLCS have like almost identical play styles of how they prefer to go about many of their matches, and so it's really just coming down to who is able to play their strengths the greatest. And at the moment, it's looking very close, but whoever is able to stay unwavered is going to be the one who's likely to come out on top. And again, this is a first 2-11, so there's plenty of time for things to go all over the place overall. And SZABOLCS, very heavy burst speed all of a sudden, and it looks like, as we mentioned before, that burst speed, which may come in handy for a couple of these like post-surge damage spikes. SZABOLCS seems no problem speeding up to around 4 pieces per second on the burst to solidify a lot of very quick damage.
And SZABOLCS.
Well, going for the greedy
look
play.
at that down stack. Both players kind of about equal on the board, trying to send each other probably something reasonable, or maybe just trying to down stack. SZABOLCS just going for a pure down stack right now. QUARPI building up, counting the 4, continuing that back-to-back.
Oh, and the garbage is very convenient for QUARPI. Actually going to set up a skim, deciding to rebuild Surge at a later time.
I'm not sure about that play, but yeah, very interesting decision.
Perfect double eyepiece for the spike on SZABOLCS, but the reverse counter spike from QUARPI really putting a number on SZABOLCS. Oh my
goodness, really good counter from QUARPI there. I guess I had to take a second to see the vision.
I was expecting, again, with the absence of Surge, I'm like, I don't know where this spike is going to come in handy, because like the ability to make spikes has really been reduced to your ability to find multiplier. But silly me, I should have known QUARPI, while playing at under 3 pieces per second for the majority of the set, does have a plan at hand, and it is working splendidly. Though we are seeing a bit of a speed up right now from QUARPI. This is very, very unlike QUARPI in many competitive settings to go for these kinds of attacks. And unfortunately, I think SZABOLCS understands that that kind of a performance does have a weakness to it, as SZABOLCS with the punish before QUARPI's able to access Surge. You can see QUARPI deciding to speed up a little bit to get through the SDPC before stacking. Oh, and grabs the all clear while maintaining Surge.
Playing very aggressively now. Going over 3 pieces per second for a split moment there. And look at this Surge that they're building.
Like, I don't want to call this, like, aggressive from QUARPI, because this is still, like, a very, like, moderate amount of pace compared to many other players. But it is still going to be quite a punch once that Surge is delivered, and SZABOLCS does not have a downstack opportunity at the ready to counter everything, and this set is still currently a 1-point game. Yeah, especially compared to a lot of other rounds. Again, I know most of the people viewing stream right now have probably already paid attention to the first half of the broadcast. But I just do want to, again, for people that are attracted to how the numbers are working, keep an eye on some of these versus scores right now, because with a lot of players that are highly aggressive or offense-oriented, you're going to see numbers well into the 300s and potentially above 400 from some of our top players. But these matches right now are barely scraping past 250, and most of them are related to getting the most efficient downstacks possible.
Yeah.
And just taking the very, cool, calm, and collected route. We do have the misdrop there from QUARPI. Does not want to break back-to-back. You saw the hesitation with that eyepiece. Is going to wait for some damage to come onto the board so that QUARPI is able to access that garbage immediately and further compound that spike.
Yeah, that was a well-timed calculation from QUARPI. That is crazy. Just like that, we're already tied up 5-5. This has turned into a 1-6. It's... I mean... I said it earlier in chat, but I'll say it again. This is really the closest bracket. This is really the closest group stage we've seen thus far. It's
and that we may see for the foreseeable future, at least as far as TWC is concerned. A lot of damage very quickly to QUARPI.
Yeah, we don't know what
defense ready.
Like.
Oh my goodness!
Oh goodness me! Oh my gosh!
That is another 40+ spike on the mainstream from TWC from QUARPI. And that is going to be a quick way to get a small set advantage, going up 6 wins to SZABOLCS 5.
SZABOLCS can easily turn this around, though, as we've seen from this match. And I mean, currently has the upper hand against QUARPI. QUARPI does have some spins, but, you know, still has to play a bit of the back foot and still in a pretty precarious spot. Oh, look at that.
SZABOLCS trying desperately to use Surge to get that last bit of damage to top up QUARPI, but just literally like
that survival is crazy.
Some of these
crazy survival there from QUARPI.
Just quite literally having to rely on making the perfect decision almost every single time. So I guess again, when you have 2 players that are determined to be the immovable wall of the set, there's not really much more we can expect. Looks like SZABOLCS might be trying the offense card here for the time being, and it seems to be being pretty effective, but it hasn't really won a game yet. Right now, QUARPI getting pressured nearly to 3 pieces per second on the defensive end, a little bit above the pace that it's typically comfortable with, but seems to be doing all right for the time being.
Yeah, getting a nice surge here.
Oh, missed the color.
Continuing that going with that nice Z spin. QUARPI is really using that that all spin tech to their advantage. But that's not going to be enough. So SZABOLCS takes it back once again. And we have another tie.
I'm a little bit mistaken. I think that round both players were hitting above 350 versus score, a bit more akin to a lot of the matches we'll be seeing throughout the rest of TWC's Swiss stage and potentially beyond. However, I am very curious to see that shift as we're both, 6 games apiece between SZABOLCS and QUARPI, as it is kind of very uncharacteristic of both of their playstyles. And I'm not sure if both are content with continuing to play as such.
Yeah, I feel like it's very fortunate for both of these players to be playing against each other with this sort of piece speed. But I'm curious to know how it'll unfold later down the line. And here we go, SZABOLCS now taking the lead.
Yeah, a very well-timed spike from SZABOLCS right as QUARPI uses that first eyepiece and does not have another one in queue until much, much later. And SZABOLCS gonna wait for the damage to get the perfect counter with the all-clear. Unfortunately, there is also a misdrop at the top of all this.
Yeah, holding the stack looks a little scary.
Honestly, quite nicely. A little bit preemptive use of Surge, and it looks like QUARPI might try to take advantage of that. That's also a bit of a preemptive Surge send from QUARPI as well. Honestly, both QUARPI and SZABOLCS trying to play a little bit outside of their comfort zones to be a bit more aggressive and take a couple of more risks. Because, unfortunately, with both of them playing defense, both of their strategies are really kind of hitting dead ends against each other. And you can definitely see we've got the Osu Deuce right now, 7 games apiece between SZABOLCS and QUARPI, as the attack is really starting to build up.
This is like the most back and forth like tennis match sort of deal we have going thus far. It is really anyone's game. If we had predictions going, if it were not 50-50, I feel like that'd be kind of just insane. But here we go. QUARPI playing I was gonna say defensive, but I mean this surge is going to be pretty aggressive once QUARPI actually manages to send it. But I mean, there's no end to it. You see all of these mini spins continuing that back-to-back surge and drops it in with a huge spike. There it is.
And unfortunately, SZABOLCS falling too far behind on the surge counter. Both of them are very proficient at building it with advantage. and playing very methodically, but the second SZABOLCS has fallen behind, it becomes just that much more difficult. And again, keep in mind as well, not only is this just a stressful set in and of itself, this is elimination point. The winner still has more matches to play, and the loser is already out before top 32.
Yeah.
This is like, everything has to be on the line, and unfortunately, as I say that, SZABOLCS having a little bit of trouble with this down stack. Resources are there to keep them alive, but this is still very, very difficult.
Yeah.
So,
actually, I was about to say that someone here had the advantage, but I mean, with these two, it already kind of like turned itself around. QUARPI has a fully man-made stack, but SZABOLCS is still about the same, like in the same position board height wise. Still has.
Notice this as well. So much like damage from SZABOLCS. Like, there's been a couple of all spins, but a lot of skims in the process, and QUARPI, just using the consistent all spins, has been able to counter nearly everything until the garbage is either clean or extremely easy to deal with. Finally,
and there we go, sending a significant spike over there. I think, yeah, okay, QUARPI, I believe, getting the first 2-point lead over SZABOLCS now.
At least for QUARPI. I believe that is true for this current match.
Like for this match, I think that's the first 2-point gap we've seen, and it is 9-7. Like, we are already close to the end here. In the meantime,
yeah, I will say, yeah, it's a little bit of speed up from QUARPI overall. Nothing compared to what we saw from earlier, the like well above 3 pieces per second.
Mm-hmm.
But
good
still definitely
wanted to get that DT continuation.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are just really wanting QUARPI to get that DT as well, but unfortunately the misfolds.
That could have very well cost QUARPI the round, but QUARPI finding that down stack, putting SZABOLCS in the red.
That is one of the few times I've seen a T-spin with the T facing upwards be optimal, but QUARPI manages to find a solution where that is the correct answer. And
yeah,
oh my goodness, had to rely a little bit on SZABOLCS slowing down, but
it's like the weird triple rotate you have to do in an Imperial Cross.
I mean, players in, Block Sacris can usually just 180 and it gets it a little bit faster, but
we all know I don't 180. And that's probably why I'm not that good at this game.
I'm not trying to call my co-caster out in the World Tournament for Tetrio. However,
that's why there's a reason why I'm in the booth and I'm not playing in the tournament, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, in the meantime, we did have an update from the multi-stream. Anya beating PCO 11-7.
Oh, that's a really close one. Oh my goodness, and that's going to... Yeah, that pushes PCO into a Game 5 or a Set 5 situation.
Just for a quick reminder here, the multi-stream over at twitch.tv/edgete. A lot of the matches you're not seeing here are being streamed over there. Anyways, carry on.
Yep. So right now we are over 2 minutes involved into this match. Not a lot of surge built up at the moment for either of these two players. But there's a chance for multiplier. QUARPI not able to get a huge amount of damage from that quad underneath all the garbage, but still a pretty substantial spike. Currently looking, just not a lot of good ways. Though, okay, there we go. Finds a multiplier. Not exactly surge, but it's still going to do the trick. And do the trick it does. That's a top out to SZABOLCS. And QUARPI now sitting on match point. SZABOLCS is in do or die territory. It is either win 4 games in a row to keep this tournament life alive, or unfortunately, this may be the last round for SZABOLCS.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen SZABOLCS' performance earlier. Like, it is entirely within the cards for SZABOLCS to come back from this. I'm not going to hold my breath on either outcome. We're just going to have to watch this unfold. And SZABOLCS already picking up the speed, already on the brink of 3 pieces per second. Like,
and QUARPI very similar.
Yeah, both players now picking up the pace now that the stakes are really getting high.
And
look at that. SZABOLCS This could be the start of SZABOLCS' comeback. Already starting to close that gap. Just needs 3 more consecutive wins, and SZABOLCS is safer. Not safe, but safer.
All right, and SZABOLCS waiting for a lot of that garbage to show up in queue before starting to play a little bit rest of that round. And at the moment, that has been quite a hefty 25. And the timing gameplay working out and actually tops out QUARPI in this context. And this is now kind of like penultimate point. This could be a decider if SZABOLCS wins this next round, or QUARPI could put it away with 11 wins. Oh, another greedy
QUARPI's really close to the top here. SZABOLCS is playing very aggressively.
All right, QUARPI able to find a way out, but SZABOLCS right now has a bit of a smaller surge, ends up setting it, and that is going to create some more cheese for QUARPI to deal with. Again, it's not something that's out of its woods. Very proficient at dealing with the cheese and working on a very clean down stack. And SZABOLCS trying to time a little bit more. Not really going to get too much out of this next bit of the queue. Does not have a lot of resources at the ready. We have a misdrop very high up on the board.
Oh, and look at that. QUARPI taking it back, shutting down that comeback. Taking it 11-9, still extremely close between these two players, but unfortunately, SZABOLCS is going to be out at that point, and QUARPI is going to be moving on to the final round.